What up, guys? Name is Inga Palmer, aka Greyface Designs. Welcome to my first YouTube video. Yeah, so please don't mind the hoodie. I'm crusty as fudge today. Still need to go get a haircut and stuff like that, and it's good, it's nice. Before we jump straight into the video, I just wanted to give you guys a breakdown as to what this channel is about. So pushing pixels is basically going to be like a tips and tricks type of video, type of channel, whereby I give you guys tips and tricks about anything that has to do with design, front-end development, and freelancing in the South African context. Context, right? With some I don't know, tricks and trips you get from international people or creators that might not necessarily relate to the South African audience, especially when it comes to invoicing and running a freelance business in South Africa. So I'll be giving you guys tips and trips about things that I've learned in my years of experience in this field, and maybe I can learn something from you guys as viewers. And whatever you guys would like to see, can you please comment it down the comment section and let me know what you guys think, what you guys would like to see, and so forth and so on. So in this video we'll be basically the first main branches we'll be going through we'll be going through the brief and the objectives, right? So cool. So the brief is as follows, so you guys can read along, but basically what the brief says is that I have been tasked to reimagine the DSTV live TV guide for mobile, as customers find it difficult or frustrating to interact through the mobile version of the TV guide, right? And they've also expressed that they sometimes do a lot of scrolling, like extensive scrolling, just to find a specific problem, program that they are looking for. So those are like the main two issues that we'll be looking at. So our objectives for this brief are as follows. So objective number 1, we definitely need to improve the user interface for the mobile design, because it's doo-doo at the moment. I'm sorry. Okay, cool. And then the design needs to cater for the display burner, for the Google display burner. So that's a Google display burner. And then lastly, we need to improve customer satisfaction through the time they take to discover or find their channel or specific show, right? What we'll be covering basically in this UI improvement, the UI design or reimagining, is that 1, we'll be first looking at the current landing page, the mobile version, the current mobile version of the page and how it looks. And then 2, I'll be recommending 2 solutions. 1, we'll be looking at the current landing page and what its issues is, and then how we can improve the UI issues that we encountered or found. And then I'll be giving you guys 2 view options of solutions that I've came up with, and then the last 2 points are just goodies, like Scooby snacks, like so nice filters and buttons, and then components, and so forth and so forth. So if we go on to the next slide, my G. So basically this is how the UI looks like at the moment, right? Pretty much straightforward. And please don't mind the empty block spaces right there. It actually has content. So this is how it looked like a year ago or a few months ago when I was working on this project, and then this is how it looks like right now when I just recently checked it out. So basically I'm just gonna scroll through this. So the first few issues that we found is that one, the taskbar wasn't really connecting with the rest of the content, right? So the taskbar is that bar whereby you have the time, date, and your battery life depending on what device you're using. So I was using an iPhone for this one. So as you can see, that's my taskbar, the one in white. The taskbar was disconnected to the rest of the look and feel. So the rest of the look and feel from the add bar being that section whereby you have the 6 dots, the DSTV logo and the sign in button and the rest of the content. So it is disconnected from the rest of the look and feel. Number two, the login button looks unbalanced and broken because it has a lot of letter spacing, and you can see it seemed like it was squashed in, hence the 2 words broke into 2 lines, right? And then the other thing that I saw as an issue was that the Google Display Burner is not aligned to the rest of the content, right? So the rest of the content is compounded in a grid, right? It's aligned in a grid within the design, and then it is pushed kind of squashed in, so it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. And if you go to the right, there's that round button right there. That button doesn't clearly communicate what it does. From what I saw or got to understand is that this is actually a download button, so you can download your schedule as a PDF format, but this button itself doesn't communicate clearly as to what the viewer or user needs to do with this. Now if you go underneath that, we see this lot of these drop downs. So the first drop down, which is big, is the package drop down. So DSTV has a few packages, so packages such as premium, compact, and so forth and so forth, and then the other one is the channel, so it shows all the channels within that drop down, and then on the other side there's a day drop down. So both of these don't communicate clearly as to what are the viewers filtering or willing to see. So the days especially, it doesn't really communicate okay, day one day, what does one day mean initially? It can mean a lot of things, but from what I got to understand, that if you select, so if you click on the drop down, and then if you click on the drop down, it will show you the number of days you can view within within that scroll timeline, right? But that doesn't communicate clearly as to what it does. So that's another thing that you're gonna have to look at. And then the buttons, the channels are hidden, which is something weird because that's the main thing that people are going there for. They first want to see the channel, then they want to see their favorite program, right? So it didn't make sense why they're hidden. So that's another thing that you're gonna have a look at. And then the timeline was really confusing, so it goes back to the thing that we spoke about users having to intensively scroll to find their preferred channel and time slot, And then lastly, the other thing that I found is that there's an additional floating navigation, which I feel like there's a lot of navigations on this page, so we needed to close those up a bit. And then with the additional the last floating navigation, it kind of went on top of the content, so it added more to the scrolling for the user, so that needed to be removed or redesigned or repositioned in some way. Cool. So the solutions that I found, so basically my design thinking or solution overview for this improvement is that I was highly inspired by the desktop view. I feel like the desktop view really does what it does it also could do with some improvement in terms of like the static and the look, but in terms of functionality, I think it functions very well and it does what it's supposed to do very well. I guess it's because there's a lot of real estate, but yeah, so that was the first thing that inspired me. And then the second thing was the second thing that inspired me was the calendar apps. You know, those calendar apps you see on your phone. So whichever phone you're using, just go on your app, your calendar, add like a new event or something, and add times like of duration, and you see how that looks. So that actually also inspired me as well. So my main goal of objective for this redesign is to present most information visually instead of copy. So I wanted to present my information visually instead of it being copy heavy, right? And so therefore I wanted to eliminate a lot of drop downs, a lot of extra steps for the user, and making everything forefront for them. So whatever they need is right there in their face. They don't need to go around the page looking for it. So cool. So the first view, horizontally scrollable view, right? So for this view, so the first thing that I solved with these is the taskbar. So I meshed the taskbar with the rest of the content, so making it black. And if you are on light mode, the taskbar would also be light with the rest of the content also being light. And then I fixed the sign in button, so basically moving the sign in copy text to underneath the icon, and then gave the icon a white outline, making it more compounded within, right, to balance it out with the right hand side of the 6th grade menu. The other thing was I introduced like a divider line underneath the nav bar. So the nav bar, again, being where the DSTV logo is, you know, I introduced like a white or like a very light gray divider line. And then I made the Google Display Burner full width, so it matches the width of the divider. So those two, or that section with the open menu thingy, acts as a divider between the header and the rest of the content, right? Because everything is full width, and then we go to a compounded layout. Cool. And so firstly, with all the filters and the drop downs, the first thing I decided to keep was the download button. So I felt like that was a very good key feature. So the schedule download button, that was a key feature, because like I think it's quite cool to be able to download a PDF version instead of always going into the guide to see like, oh, when is my show playing. And especially with South Africa, when there's a lot of load shedding, there are times whereby you don't have access to the internet, so you can like, you know, open that schedule on your mobile phone, and then there you go. And then the other thing was I also kept the premium, the package drop down, but in terms of like styling, I made it like different styling to the button because it's a drop down. So I gave it a ghost styling, where a ghost styling is basically an outline button with a solid copy, and then there's no background in the button. So cool. So I gave it a ghost effect, and then I also introduced like a search button, a filter button, so you can filter out your shows, your channels, and whatnot, right? And then lastly, a view toggle button, right? So you can toggle between the horizontal view and the vertical view. Cool. And then underneath that, I introduced like a scrollable timeline of your dates, right? So we have like tabs whereby you can select your day and date, and you can scroll through the days, and then inside those tabs you have like the actual date and the day that it's on, so that makes it easy for usability sakes, guys. So cool. And then the last section within this view is obviously the timeline, because that's what we actually there for. We want to see our programs in the timeline. So what I did was, instead of using your full channel name, I decided to use the channel logo, because I feel like humans are visual beings. So we are basically kept the logo and then the channel number next to it, just in case you want to refer to like a specific channel. And the reason why I also kept the logo is because the name is there within the logo. So basically killing two birds with one stone, right? Clear. And then we have like our scrollable timeline whereby you can access your programs. The next thing was the second view, whereby it was a vertical view. And then this one was highly inspired by the calendars that I initially previously mentioned, So with this view, there were some few changes that needed to be done. So firstly, the channels being on the left hand side didn't make sense, because this view was more channel focused, right? So if you just wanted to focus on one channel instead of having like a lot of channels in a row, which can be distracting for some people, right? You would like select your channel and then switch to a specific view, and then it will switch to this view. So one thing, because this was channel specific, it didn't make sense having the channels on the left hand side and then the timeline where it was, but in a different view, of course. So I decided to move the channels to the top and also gave them that scrollable functionality, right? And the reason why I also decided to put them on top of the days is because I should think, if I was the user going to this landing page, the first thing I'd like to look at, and the reason why this view is more channel specific, the first thing I would like to look at is the channel. So the first thing I want to select is my channel, and then I would like look at the day. Okay, no, I want to watch this thing on this day, and then I can see what time is it playing on. So that's why I decided to put the channels on top of the days instead of underneath the days. So yeah, cool. So that was that. And then just for some side-by-side comparison, you guys can definitely see that there's a big difference in the two designs. You guys can let me know, like, if this design, if DSTV was to redesign the TV guide to this, would you guys spend more time on the TV guide, or it doesn't work for you? And what improvements would you make? Let me know down in the comment section. And yeah, so right now I'll just show you what the other features were.